Hello student. So welcome to the world of Java. Today we are going to start about the advanced Java concept in which we are learn about how Java is work on a web technology. So in this syllabus we are going to learn about the web development using Java. Okay, so for that we need to understand the basic concept of Java, that is Java networking concept. As you already know in the Java subject, that Java is working over the distributed environment. It means Java can work over the network and it supports the client and server communication. Okay, so that is our first chapter. In that we are learning about how Java works in the network, what is networking, how client and server communication, what is TCP, what is UDP, and how we can communication using this protocol using Java. So basically advanced Java is a nothing but the some library we are using for communication in the network. So we don't have any new concept in that, but we are using the existing class for communication over the network. Okay, so this is the first chapter, it is Java networking. Hello, myself Prithviraj Parmar. So today we are going with the fundamental of network. Okay, so here we what we are learning is that is the network basic. Okay, that is the socket overview, INET address, TCP IP server, client socket, datagram, what is URL and URL connection. These all concept might be learned in a computer network subject. So this is the basically nothing but a computer network concept which we are enhancing with the Java. So in this chapter, what we are doing, we are using the computer network concept and do the programming using Java. That's why we can communication the two machines, that we all know about the network. Network is nothing but connecting the two devices with each other for the communication purpose. Okay, so let's start first with our first topic, that is the basics of Java, that is a Java.NET package. For using the networking library, we are using the Java.NET packages. In this package, this class of various classes is available. For example, an address, URL, URL connection, socket, server socket, datagram packet, datagram socket. These all are the inbuilt classes. Inbuilt classes. How you can identify this inbuilt classes? The first letter as capital. If you know the Java, then you may be identified. If the first letter is capital, then it is a class. If the first letter is small, that is indicate the methods. That fundamentally already learn in the Java. Okay, so if we are try to connect it with the multiple devices across the network, we are using the Java.NET packages. For example, if we are to connect with the some website using our browser, if we are making our own browser, so we need the URL classes. These classes will help to connect with that URL. Okay, so this fundamental we are going to learn. After that, you can make your own chatbot, you can main or chat application using the internet connection. If you're static IP, you can use, if you know the tunneling, you can make your own chatbot using TCP or UDP. Okay, so let's start with the basic fundamental, and that is the first we can a socket. So what is the socket? Socket is the main key point for two-way communication. What is the socket? Socket is the main key point for the communication between two or more programs. Okay, or we can say two or more machine. For example, if we want to go from one place to another place, we have a one address for reach out that. Okay, for communication we have a number, so we can do communication. For mail, we have a mail address for the communication. For that, that is our the we can say logical address that you can see. But for the machine, how to machine communication, for that we know the socket. Socket is an important parameter for communication with the two machines. Okay, so what is exactly socket? Socket is the combination of IP address and port number. Socket is an communication of IP address and the port number. You already know the IP address, you learn in a computer, but still I will give you some idea about the IP address. IP address is nothing but a physical address of a computer. For example, you have one number, so your mobile number is your identification number, but that is changed by network to network, that is IP address. Your MAC address is your mobile address. Okay, so if you are using one mobile and MAC, that is uniquely identified over the world, but you are changing from one room to another room. For example, you are at a GF or FF, you are moved to for another floor. So each and every have a unique location. For example, you in your building there are many floors, floor number 1 2 3 4 5, but each and every floor one number, FF1, GF1. Okay, S7 second floor one number. So one is the address, but FF indicate the location of that. So IP is nothing but a one particular address who are connected with the whom. And a port number is a one type of gate. For example, if you entering into a class, you must have to come from the via door. Okay, door is a basically idle condition. You may in the college you may come from the window itself, but that is not a legal way. That is, we can say, ethical hacking. Okay, so port is a one type of a door from which you can come to the computer, and IP address is a one type of, we can say, key for entering into any computer. This is the global combination for connecting each and every machine. So if you're using google.com, they have a port number. Okay, so IP address and port number, that both known as a socket. This is the one example. If this is your laptop have one IP address. Okay, and this is the port number. Okay, same vice versa, we have another IP address and one port number. Okay, so from IP address and port number we can communicate with the each machine. For example, if what is the important of port number, that is the best example for, if you have a contact with the government employee, that is the one we can say IAS officer. Okay, so that IAS officer have one machine, in that we have some data regarding the all the transaction of Indian government. Okay, so what is the important thing in the computer? We can say hard disk, or we can say the computer. We by how we can identify the username and password of that IAS officer. Okay, so IS officer. So okay, so after that we can anyhow by still that port computer and take system at our home, but we are not officially connected that website to a particular from computer, because that website is basically hide by the port number. Okay, sorry for the interruption. So port number is that much empty. If you know the website, if you know the IP address, but still you cannot enter sorry, you cannot enter in that computer, or you can also not accessing that website address. One more example, if you know the Aadhaar card, so we have Aadhaar card centers in every bank and some government apartment, government offices. So what we are doing, there is one employee who have username and password. We, sorry for the interruption, they have one username and password. You can easily see the website name, you can easily identify the username and password if you're clever, sharp enough for entering the password. But that website cannot open in your computer, because you don't know just name the IP address, or you know just a website. Okay, so website and IP address is not enough for securing the website. In that case, that port number is in a matter. Okay, so that is the main important of port number. Without port number, you cannot do the any type of communication. Okay, move ahead. After that we have a client and server communication. What is client and what is server, you already know in the CN, but still we are just focusing on what is client and what is server. So for example, that is a one common scenario, common thing, that is we know what is the client and what is the server. For example, we are try to reach the google.com, we are trying to reach the google.com, so our browser becomes our client, our browser becomes the client. And from which server, that is world wide web, www, from which we are trying to accessing the google.com. So what we are doing for our machine, that is client and server, that is client and server, sorry, that is client and server. In that, we what we are doing, we are doing a request from a browser to a server. Okay, we are doing a one request from, we are try to get a request for google.com. Okay, so google.com, we need that website from the www, that is server. Who are requesting, that is known as a client. Who are sending the information, that is known as a server. So server, what is server doing? Server just trying to give the response of that request. This request can be any type, that may be a video, that may be a file, that may be anything client needs from another machine, that is called the request, and what answer give from the another portion, that is known as the response. In general case, from the browser, request and response both handled by the HTTP protocol. Okay, you already know the CN language, and this language is still dead, that is HTML. All the response and request will display only in HTML. Either you are doing coding in PHP, Python, AI, machine learning, whatever, but still date. That is a request and response given in, that is a one language, that is HTML, with we can say JavaScript. Okay, with the CSS. Okay, that is with is client and server communication. A one machine who requests for the sources, that is known as a client, who responds the data to the client, that is known as server. And for this process we use the socket. Socket is nothing, just we can say a software with a IP address and we can say port number. Okay, socket is not a physical port in your computer. Okay, socket is a one type of software that make with the communication of IP address and port number. Okay, after that we are meant what is the socket overview. Okay, we each computer have as equivalent some port that is starting from 0 to 65565. That is already you learn in the computer network. Okay, why repeating this thing? Because this is the fundamental of computer network. Okay, so using the computer network protocol, we are implementing this concept in Java. That is this fundamental, because basic purpose of this chapter. Okay, so for that we need first, we can say we have to make a one server and one client. Okay, so how here we are learn about how client and server is communication. Okay, suppose there is a one server. Okay, make one thing, always server run first, because if something existing after, then we can request. Okay, so there is a server which is already been running, and we have to communicate from, that is that is A, and that is server. So while A are requesting for the server, their server must be on, so they can accept the request. Okay, so mark one thing, server run first, or we can say server is always in a running mode. Okay, so suppose this is the one computer, assume this is a one computer in which we are trying to connect. Okay, and suppose this is our port, this is not a physical device, we are assuming that is a one firewall which accessing the port number. Okay, a port number accesses through the firewall. So this is the firewall which is maintaining incoming and outgoing all the things. Okay, so suppose, sorry, so for suppose we are a request for the server. Okay, so there is a one server, okay, which already started and open one port number for the communication. Okay, so he opened some port for the communication. Okay, like that there are so many ports. Okay, so server say I open a one port, for example it's open a 123 port number. Okay, so still that this is the port number which is a 1234. So for opening this port in a Java, we using the server socket class. Okay, this server socket class will open the 1234 port number in your computer system by the programming language. Okay, using programming language you are opening this port, but feasibly in a reality first we need to access the firewall. In the firewall, we have to make this port number using, later we know, and I will teach you how to open port number in firewall at your own risk. After using this program, we can close the firewall, because port opening the port is a very much risky thing. If you know about the ransom virus, in ransom virus, port number is critical thing. Okay, hacker and virus only can be accessed if you are giving the permission. Okay, so later on we discuss on this thing. So apart from this, we thus learn the thing, server socket just used for opening of one port from the server side. Okay, so we are using this open a port number from the server side. Okay, after this port number, this will open server port. Okay, after this port number, it's waiting for the client. Okay, so there is a one program in which we are opening a server port, and there is another program in that some client are trying to connect with this server. Okay, so for that we have to use the socket class. Okay, so suppose there is a we for example, there is a one another machine, maybe it in the network or maybe it the outer network, but this client machine know the IP address of this server socket and port number of this machine. So using this IP address and port number, this client machine will connect or asking for the request. We can say asking for the request because it's a two-way communication. Okay, so how this is not like this is visual effect for understanding you. This is not like you are accepting the request and it will be established on a hook. Okay, so this is a visual effect. Okay, so for that we are using the socket class and object of socket class, and we know the IP address or the website address and the port number. This IP address and this port number will used for connection with this server. There will be maybe a one question, why you are not using for example, this is our server socket. You might be a one question, okay, why we are not giving IP address in the server socket programming? That is one common question, but we are giving the IP address in client. Why? Because if you have to reach somewhere, for example, if you want to go from one area to another area, you have exact address of that area for connection. But after you are returning from the home, you don't need your home address. Okay, so server is such type of area just like your home. This server accept all the connection. Okay, so I am here for accepting all the connection, but you have to idea for which server I am giving the connection. There are multiple server over the world. All the server are accepting your connection, but you have to decide for which server you are using this code. So that's why this is the for the opening port. You most are welcome. For example, we are studying in the classroom, almost all 100 of students are most welcome to the class, but only some few students will understand the concept. If you are connecting with the teacher, that is your server, so you can easily get with the concept. Okay, so that's why that is a basic requirement. For that we are not using address for that, but yes, we are using the IP address for communication. Okay, after that, okay, this is the line. For that we are accepting the connection. Same address, same person can also get a connection with this. Okay, so this is the main line for the we can say a client connection. Okay, so this is connection establishment. Okay, another client also request for the same using same IP address. You already know, if your result has been declared, so you all the requested for the same IP address, you entering your enrollment number and show your result. Okay, somewhere to get the error like 404 505, it means server is busy. This all terminology you already learn in your previous semester as computer network. Okay, done. Okay, so in next lecture we are going to learn about the INET address. Okay, so keep in touch. That's what we learned today. That is the basic, nothing else. We learn about the what is the socket, what is the server socket. Okay, how it will communication with each other, that is server socket class and socket class. Okay, this is the basic fundamental terminology of this program. after the using this, we accepting this connection, we establish our connection, and after that we can communication with the two or more system. Okay, so for today we are ending our session here. Thank you. If you have any query, let me know. You can mail me anytime. Okay, and keep learning. Thank you very much.